Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we'll be doing a box office update for this weekend where we're seeing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness heading towards an over $400 million opening weekend worldwide, which is a lot higher than the originally projected $300 to $350 million opening that was originally being projected worldwide, showing that this film is doing well not only in the domestic market, but also in all of the overseas markets in which it is playing. So we'll go ahead and break down the numbers and talk about what to expect from this film. Let's just say it looks like this film is a lot more likely to make that $1 billion, as I've been saying it has a likelihood to do, and it is going in that direction. So before going any further, though, please make sure you smash that like button, light that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification on. That way you know every time a video or live stream goes live on the channel. So, as you all know, I love the numbers and I need the numbers, and as you can see, it says here $230+ million is what Doctor Strange 2 is expected to make in the overseas market, expected to make over $400 million when you take everything into account. As it talks about here, it says it's having a crazy ride at the international box office, now at $139.3 million through Friday, heading towards a $230+ million through Sunday. The global total with Friday's domestic start included is already at $229 million, looking to make over $400 million for the entire weekend. Current estimates had the first 3 days offshore at just 17% below Spider-Man No Way Home, 180% ahead of The Batman, and 207% above the first Doctor Strange on a like-for-like basis. International markets are holding fast and setting new records. Friday added 5 more hubs to take the total to 49 international markets. India debuted the Sam Raimi-directed pick at $4.3 million at number 1, and the 4th highest Hollywood launch day of all time. Spain's number 1 start at $2.5 million is the best opening day of the pandemic era. Oh yes, gotta continue to mention the pandemic era, even though it's pretty much done at this point, but hey, got to continue to remind people. Turkey, 700,000 set a benchmark for the top opening Friday in history. Interesting. Turkey is a very large country. 700,000 does not sound like a lot of money. Doctor Strange is operating above pre-weekend projections is not a huge surprise, but it is being bolstered in part by strong numbers out of Latin America, which leans into horror and thus is embracing Raimi's take on the Sorcerer. To wit, Mexico 11.6 million and Brazil 7.7 are through Friday the number 3 and 4 overseas markets. That's very interesting. Korea, the swing, as we noted coming into frame, is also turning up, with Saturday's estimates included is now at $25 million. That's a very impressive number coming out of South Korea. But yeah, these are very, very impressive numbers, and to see this being 17% below where Spider-Man No Way Home is sounding just about right. As I've mentioned previously, Spider-Man No Way Home's $1.9 billion is not going to be reached by this film. However, if it's already 17% below where it was, at least in the overseas markets, and it is doing pretty well in the domestic markets, it seems very likely then for this film to end up just shy or just above $1 billion. Of course, I'll have my official projections on the film once we see what the week 2 drop-off looks like. That all being said, it is, again, still looking pretty good for the actual film. If we look at the daily numbers from here, again, the Friday box office numbers, which we have at this point, it made $90 million. So that includes the box office preview on Thursday as well. So $90 million opening day, very impressive for the film. The Bad Guys dropped to number 2 to make $2.3 million. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 dropped to number 3 with, or rather stayed at number 3 with $1.5 million in its Friday. A 41% hold versus a 38% hold respectively for The Bad Guys and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Fantastic Beasts dropped to the number 4 spot, or rather went up to the number 4 spot, making another $1 million, a 52% drop from the previous week. And Everything Everywhere All at Once, this little engine that could from A24, made $951,000, which is a 39% hold, but it is starting to lose out some theaters, and it has been out in release for 43 days. And so, of course, you all know I'm very interested to see whether or not Everything Everywhere All at Once can make even just a little bit more money to get even closer to its break-even point. As I've mentioned previously, it's at the point where I think most people would probably argue that A24 either will look at it as a tax write-off or will be able to make that money back at some point through Blu-ray 4K releases, amongst other revenue streams that they typically have for these actual films. When you look at Doctor Strange, as it was mentioned in that article, $229.3 million based off of a $500 million break even number. This is a very strong start, and if the film is indeed going to pass $400 million this weekend, it would mean that the film would break even before or at the very least by the end of next weekend, which is a very good sign for Disney, as they have not had a film like this in quite a while. Almost every single one of their films that came out during the pandemic era lost money, and some of them lost a lot of money because of how expensive these Disney films tend to be. And this, of course, is the most successful by a mile already so far. I mean, this film making over $400 million means that this film will have surpassed every single film that came out during the pandemic era, if I'm not mistaken. I know that a couple of their films reached around $400 million worldwide, so for the film to be able to surpass that already, it shows a lot about where the current state of the MCU is, and also if we keep in mind the fact that this is definitely, in a lot of ways, kind of being able to do a lot off of the bounce it's gotten. I think pretty sure the bounce it's gotten from being connected with the Spider-Man No Way Home film, and that film just being such a monstrosity of a release does not surprise me at all. This film is doing as well as it is, and of course we will see exactly how well it does, and also if it's going to be able to hold into the second weekend, because as you all know from my review of the film, I did not think the film was all that great. There were some cool Sam Raimi moments when he was allowed to do Sam Raimi things, but it was also very clearly a by-the-numbers, typical style MCU film with the typical MCU humor, and also obviously moving in that direction of the MCU as well. Again, very blatantly, by the very fact, especially, you look at this poster here, and even though Doctor Strange is the biggest one on the poster, who's in the center frame? Yes. So I think that kind of gives you an idea about what the movie does as well. But hey, even though I am not the biggest fan of the actual film itself, I gave it a C+ rating. In the end, I cannot deny the actual numbers, and the numbers are looking very, very good. The bad guys up to $132.6 million, looking like it's going to be able to push itself even further to breaking even this weekend. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 continuing to do very, very well, surpassing that of the original release, I believe, at this point. Fantastic Beasts: Secrets of Dumbledore is the real question, because it's at $333 million, and Lord knows if this film is having to go up against Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange is just taking over all of the foreign markets that it is currently playing in. I think that probably spells a pretty big disaster for this film as far as the type of drop-off we'll see in its now third week of release. Everything Everywhere All at Once is at $44.1 million, and so even though the budget for this film was not the highest in the world, still needs to make a little bit more for it to be able to hit that number, and memory continues to be lost. Again, I don't quite understand why they keep on making these actual movies. If we go ahead and look to the current charting for these films based off of the current numbers that we have for Doctor Strange 2 at $229.3 million. Right now it's around $162.4 million in the red, but if it gets that $400 million mark, we could see that it'll be well underneath the $100 million in the red mark, meaning that it's well on its way to being able to break even. At this point in time, it's around 1.1 times its budget, and for it to be already there just after the first day or two, as far as the numbers are concerned, is a very, very good sign. All the while, we look at memory, still don't have a budget for the film, so can't rate those numbers down for that. Did not have any updates as far as significant updates for The Northman or Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent to be able to make much of a difference in those numbers. Bad Guys now at $25 million in the red, but as I mentioned, I think by the end of the weekend, it'll be probably a lot lower and getting that much closer to that break-even point. Whereas Fantastic Beasts at $333.9 million is still around $100 million in the red. And so the big question, of course, is going to be just how big of the drop-off is it going to be? Is it only going to get to $350 million? Is it going to maybe get to close to $400 million by the end of this weekend? We, of course, will have to wait and see for those numbers to come in. And as I've been mentioning with Everything Everywhere All at Once, $10.9 million in the red. So even though it's not a massive financial loss by any means, and I think that this did a lot better than what they were expecting, and personally what I was expecting for the film with the way that they released it, because it's a really good film, but they released it in one of the most odd ways possible, and I've talked about that almost every single week. It is still nice to see that the film is doing well and is being able to consistently do well and have very consistent holds from week to week. But those are the numbers as they stand. So are you surprised that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is doing as well as it is doing? Again, I'm not surprised that it's doing well. I think that everyone is surprised, including those in Hollywood, that it's making over $400+ million in its opening weekend, or at least projected to do so. But again, the ultimate question is going to be, Will it be able to hold from week 1 to week 2? Will there be any type of backlash against this film as far as some of the things that they do with the characters, some of the directions that they go in with some of the characters and some of the cameos? Will that be enough to push people to go see it like we saw with Spider-Man No Way Home, which had very strong holds? Or will we see a typical massive drop-off, which we normally see for big budget films, especially big budget Marvel films? Will we see a massive drop-off, and then will we see that be consistently dropping off from the next few weeks onward? Obviously, there are several films set to come out by the end of May, which will have some competition for the movie, but it's going to be mostly having no competition for it, at least for another week or two. And so it's going to have a pretty nice bit of ground, be able to make up any money that it needs to in any of the markets that it's playing in, not having to worry about any major competition for at least a little while, for at least a week or two before you have other films set to come out. But what are y'all's thoughts? Let me know in the comment section down below. And also, what do you think the opening weekend number is going to be? I think, again, around $400 million sounds about right. And it would not surprise me if this film, again, by the end of its run, hits that $1 billion mark. What are y'all's thoughts? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, live that fire button, and honestly, y'all are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. Before going any further, I wanted to give a very, very huge special shout out to one of my Valkyries, one of my longtime supporters, Tina B, the Empress of the Universe. Thank you so much for being a supporter and for being a mod on this channel. And now for a huge special shout out to all of my members who are at the Keeper of the Bifrost level and above on Patreon, Subscribestar, and Locals. So first on Patreon, Brandon, let's go Brandon, Christopher Bowman, Garrett Searles, Hymir Irie Hymason, Jacob from Holland, Jacob Juice, who you can check out on his Letterboxd. Jacob Juice is how you can find it. Jeffrey Toon, Joey Horn, Jonathan Carney, Laura, the Modern Major General, Story, Mad Mike Jackson, special shout out for him in a second, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Orange Hat Reviews, you can check out his channel, Orange Hat Reviews, Rosetta Allen, you can check out her channel as well, Stan Andrian, and Miss Martin Muses, who also has a YouTube channel. And a special shout out, as I mentioned, to Jacob Juice from Holland, again, letterboxd.com/Jacob Juice for more information about him. And a special shout out to my members over on Subscribestar, Matt 317, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Mr. Roy, J-Rod, the Beer Guru, and ZK Man. Thank y'all very much for supporting on Subscribestar. And to two of the members who are supporting me over on Locals, who asked for special shout outs. First off, Minnesota hockey fan. Let's go. Let's get a hockey player. And UAB, Mad Dog, Mike Jackson for the win. Thank you very much for supporting me, and also Robert Barnes on Locals as well. Anyway, if you want a special shout out, and Brett D90 for that matter, if you want a special shout out at the end of every single video, please check out that top link at the very top of the video description. It'll give you more information about the different tiers and what you get every single month. Thank you guys for your love, for your patience for this month's shout out video as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.